86.4% of the world's population is chronically unhappy. Michael McLean, badassbrotherhood.com. Horsepower, not horse shit. 86.4% of men and women on planet Earth are chronically unhappy, meaning 13%, 14% of people are happy some of the time. This is an extreme example of the state of mental illness, manufactured illness, chronic anxiety, chronic depression that we are seeing in our entire population. Children, adolescents, young adults, young, old, chronic unhappiness. I call it being mentally crippled. Being mentally crippled. That every day, every hour, every minute, chronic unhappiness. So I've talked about this topic many times, and in my 31 years as an in the trenches entrepreneur and my 22 years as a pro and amateur hockey coach, working with children, teenagers, young adults, almost every walk of life, I've learned one thing when it comes to a happiness or unhappiness. We choose to be happy. You choose to be happy. Or you choose to be unhappy. There are exceptions to the rule, of course. There's always exceptions to the rule in terms of things that go on with a person's mind and body. But for the most part, we choose our happiness. We choose to be happy each and every day when our feet hit the floor, or we choose to be unhappy. I have personally been down both paths, choosing to be happy and choosing to be unhappy. I find myself at this point in my life, in my business career, as a husband, as a father, I wake up each day and I choose to be happy. So what is the strategy behind choosing to be happy? It's not feel good. It's not positive thinking. It's not negative thinking. It's nothing like that. I have a proven strategy for choosing to be happy that I've learned over 31 years. And I've shared this before. There are two principles to being happy. Two principles to living with peace of mind. Two principles to being a person who enjoys their life, enjoys their world, enjoys their work, enjoys their family. Number one, constant and never-ending improvement. Can I? C-A-N-I. Can I? There's a reason I have can I embroidered and stitched on the shoulders of my golf shirts, some of my t-shirts, some of my hoodies. Constant and never-ending improving. Nothing is more important than self-improvement. Every single day, 365 days a year, no days off. Constant and never-ending improvement. If you are improving as a husband, as a father, as a businessman, as a human being, you're going to be incredibly happy most of the time. If you're growing, you're going to be happy. We're human beings. We are put on this earth by our Creator to grow, to stretch, to build, to create things. So constant and never-ending improvement is number one. Number two, secret key principle to being happy is service of others. Contribution. Impacting others in a positive manner, whatever that is. So my question to you is, who have you been called to serve? Who have you been called to serve? You have a business, you have a life. Who have you been called to serve other than yourself. I am shocked at the level of selfishness that I run into in all areas of my life. Whether I'm coaching young children in power skating or Sunday morning hockey, whether I'm working with businessmen, entrepreneurs, whether I'm dealing with associates, whether I'm dealing with family, friends, you name it. The level of selfishness in today's society is staggering. It's all about me. So there's one of the tips for why we're awash. 86%, 87% of people chronically unhappy. 86 to 87% of people are completely and utterly focused on themselves. It's all about them. To be anxious, you have to think about nothing but yourself. To be depressed, you have to think about nothing but yourself. To be stressed, you have to think about nothing but yourself. To be chronically unhappy, you have to be thinking and focusing on nothing but yourself. Total immersion into selfishness. In other words, you are marinating, literally marinating in selfishness day and night. To be depressed, you have to be constantly thinking about your own situation and how negative it is. And to be depressed, you have to constantly be thinking about yourself, okay? And you have to be living in the past. Being depressed means that you're living in the past. I regret this, I shouldn't have done that, that was a bad break, you know, that person, I shouldn't have dated that person, and I made those critical bad decisions, and on it goes. To be depressed, you have to be living in the past. So, to be anxious, you need to be focused on yourself, and you need to be living in the future. It's that simple. Anxiety comes from not being present and being focused completely on the future. So that's what we're dealing with there. So if you find yourself dealing with chronic unhappiness, if you're unhappy more than you're happy, you need to take a look at a few things and say, okay, number one, am I personally growing? And number two, am I serving others? Answering the question, who have you been called to serve? My businesses, all the different companies that I've had over multiple decades, my businesses have always been about something. A mission to serve somebody else. They've always been about more than just Michael McLean. They've always been about more than just making money. They've always been a lot more than just selling insurance policies. They've been more about than just winning hockey games. They've been about more than just giving haircuts. All of my companies, without exception, have always been about serving a certain segment of the population. Whether it was supporting the local food bank through these companies, supporting children's literacy through these companies, whether it was supporting youth sport, children that didn't have the opportunity or weren't able to afford to play organized sport. It could be the animal shelter, which we did for decades, supporting, the animal shelter through these companies. And it just goes to show you that happiness is rooted in your improvement as a person, your commitment to reading, to writing, to training, to walking, to meditating, to all these things, whatever it is that helps you grow as a husband, as a father, as an entrepreneur. And then secondly, who are you serving? Who are you serving through your life and your business? That's something where sitting down with your journal and shutting off your technology and having that conversation with yourself and say, okay, number one, am I truly committed? Am I truly committed to constant and never-ending improvement? Am I committed to personal growth? 365 days a year, no days off. And secondly, asking yourself the hard question, who am I committed to serving? I don't care if you're retired, if you're 60, if you're 70, if you're 40, if you're a new business operator, or if you're a veteran. Who are you going to serve through your life and your company? And then those two things automatically lead to peace of mind. They automatically lead to happiness. If you're growing and you're contributing, you're going to be an incredibly happy person. The more challenged I am, the harder I work, the more involved I am in a new venture. I'm growing, I'm walking, I'm drinking water, I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm learning. These are my happiest moments in my life. When I'm sitting at the end of the dock or by the pool reading with my highlighter and my pen and my Sharpie markers and my white recipe cards, and I'm learning idea after idea, these are the happiest moments of my life. Not when I'm on a cell phone or watching TV or wasting time watching movies or pouring through hours of pro sport, none of that stuff. I'm happiest when I'm with my wife, my daughter, and when I'm growing and serving others. So those are the two prongs that you need to be focused on so that you're not like 87% of the world's population. If this has ever been a wake-up call, this statistic, this was a Gallup poll, by the way. A Gallup poll a couple years ago, 86.4%. If there has ever been a wake-up call for what I'm teaching, which is never, ever, ever follow the crowd. Never, ever, ever follow the crowd. Everything that the crowd, the herd, the majority, the average, the quiet desperation, whatever the crowd is doing, you need to look around and do the exact opposite. The herd, the crowd, is always wrong about almost everything, especially money, success, and happiness. Clearly, happiness. And by the way, I think this number is low. I don't think that 86% of people, I think it's up in the 90s. I'm a 99%, 1% guy. I believe that 99% of people are unhappy. I believe that 99% of people in this world are unhappy. I believe 1 or 2% of people are actually happy with their life, happy with their world. So, nonetheless, do the opposite. Look around at everything everybody else is doing to produce this manufactured unhappiness, mental illness, whatever you want to call it. People are living on their cell phones 16, 17, 18, 20 hours per day. People are moving and training less than 20 minutes a day. We're talking just moving. People are watching up to 5 hours on average of TV per day. North Americans are spending over 2 hours per day now. 2 hours, 14 hours per week on anti-social media. We're spending less than 1 hour per week with our children. 1 hour per week, less than that with our children. And the list just goes on and on. So this is manufactured unhappiness. This is manufactured mental illness. And all the stuff that I talk about here is all about the badass millionaire way of looking around and doing the exact opposite. So now you have a statistic in front of you, 86.4% of chronic unhappiness in the world, that should motivate you in every area of your life to look around and say, I'm going to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. And look into every area of your life. when it comes to your business profits, your marketing, your marriage, your relationship with your children, your physical health, your mental health, anything and everything. Look around and see what everybody else is doing, and also see what's popular. What's popular? And then when you notice these things, say to yourself, write it down in your journal, I'm committed to doing the exact opposite. If it's popular and it's the majority, the crowd is doing it, it is dead ass wrong. I don't care what it is dead ass wrong. Do the opposite of what the crowd does with their money. Do the opposite of what the crowd does with their health. Do the opposite with cell phone use. Do the opposite with your diet. Do the opposite in terms of reading. Do the opposite in terms of being outside in nature. Do the opposite of what you see everybody else. If it's popular, don't do it. So that's it for today. We are mentally crippled, and it is a choice. In most cases, like I said, there are exceptions, but in most cases, we choose our happiness. So choose your happiness by heading the other way. Choose your happiness by being a top 1% badass millionaire. Choose your happiness by looking around at the crowd, at the herd, at the mediocre majority, and doing the exact opposite of everything else that you see. That's it. If you would like to be placed on a waiting list for my brand new 5-star mastermind, you can go to badasschampion.com. That's badasschampion.com. You'll be placed on a waiting list. That is for my 12-month, 1-year elite 5-star mastermind. It's only for 18 men. You've got to be into hard coaching. You need to be in accountability. You need to be the type of person who wants to up-level your social circle. You want to hang out with kings and cleaners and closers and rainmakers. And you just want to take your life and your business from ordinary to extraordinary. If that sounds like you, it's expensive on purpose. It's $50,000 American for the year. That's actually chump change. It's free because within the first 30 days of coaching, by the way, we do weekly coaching by Zoom. I'm in your ear every single week. I'm coaching you, I'm teaching you, I'm holding you accountable. And then we have 2 kick-ass live closed door meetings. I'm gonna have one of them, by the way, in Vegas. I'm gonna have one of them at the MGA Grand if I can. But we're gonna do one in Vegas and we're gonna do one in Florida. So we're going to have 2 live closed door events where we're 18 men, where we have hot seats and we share, good morning. We share these ideas and we work on each other's businesses. So it's great to have those live events back again. So that's it for today. If you're interested in applying, you'll be placed on a waiting list. badasschampion.com. If you haven't got a copy of my book, you can do that below at nobullbook.com. That's it for today. Michael McLean, 2 words that change my life, 2 words that can change your life. Be relentless.